Hey team, so I'm just going to be doing something a little bit different for this video. I'm just going to be taking you behind the scenes with my own training and what I'm doing with that at the moment. So previously throughout summer, so I go through a bit of seasonal changes with my training. So over the summer period, over the warmer months, I get outside a lot. I do a lot of conditioning, and that's the bulk of my training. So my lifting, my strength training would only be like 2 hours across an entire week, and the rest of it, 6 hours or so would be, or close to 6 hours would be conditioning training. So on the assault bike, out running, swimming, all that type of stuff. So yeah, my strength training really takes a back step while I increase my cardio output. And this really needs to be done with anyone's training. So you can't focus on everything all at once. You want to have a main focus, and then you just want to maintain whatever it is in the background while you really build up that thing, because your body's only got a certain amount of energy that it can use for training and use to adapt to that training. So if you're overdoing it, you're just going to be spinning your wheels and not really improving in anything. That's why I like to go through sort of like phases through the year, and I go off seasonal changes, and it's really makes my training a lot more enjoyable, because I enjoy getting outdoors a lot in the summer, and that just falls in line with a lot of conditioning training. Whereas when I go into the winter months, like the colder months into winter, I start to sort of transition back to more of a strength focus or muscle building phase, and my conditioning just takes a back step. And then yeah, that way my main focus is on that strength and muscle building while I'm maintaining conditioning. Yes, we'll lose some over that time, but it won't go down to zero. So you'll be able to sort of start at a better baseline leading into the next cycle in the summer period, and hopefully be a little bit leaner leading into that as well, a bit more muscle there to help with all of that aspect, so that you can maintain better over that. So it just stacks on year by year as you do this as well. So where I'm up to right now, so we're in autumn, so I'm sort of transitioning from that phase of so that the season of me going out and doing a lot of conditioning with, as I said before, there was only about 2 hours strength. So I'd only do half an hour strength training 4 times a week to maintain that strength. And now what I've done is I've switched to 3 main strength sessions per week, and they go for anywhere between 60 to 90 minutes long. And then I just chuck in my conditioning on my off days, and just, sometimes I'll do half an hour on those strength days, just in the morning or something, but just something to maintain that. And you need to get that into your head when you're doing this type of training, is that you can't improve everything at once. So don't try to do it, because you'll just run into injuries and illness and things like that. So have that focus. And right now for me, it's transitioning back into a muscle building strength phase. So that is my main focus, with the conditioning taking a back step, and be all right with losing a little bit of conditioning as well. And on top of this as well, you need to realize that nutrition is a huge part of it, no matter which phase you're in. So if you're in that conditioning phase, you need to be fueling your training so that you can put in as much as you can and really grind through those hard sessions. And then when I'm in this strength building phase or muscle building phase, I need to make sure I'm eating enough. So I'm going to go over my nutrition in a different video, a bit of a behind the scenes with my nutrition. At the moment, I'm around about 3,800 to 4,000 calories, mainly 4,000 calories a day, while I'm trying to put on a decent amount of weight. With that, yes, there's going to be a little bit of fat with it as well. But that, when I transition back to more leaner sort of area during my strength phase towards the end, I start to come back my calories a little bit and drop that fat a little bit. But right now, I'm just trying to put on weight and transition back into that strength and muscle building phase. So what I'm going to show you is just an example, like how I've structured my week with what I'm doing at the moment. And yeah, a few examples and how I sort of set it up. So the way I sort of do my yearly schedule is, as I said, in the summer times, there's shit tons of conditioning, as I said, on the assault bike, running, all that type of stuff. So, 5-6 hours of conditioning training with only around about 2 hours of strength thrown in there, in half-hour blocks sort of thing. When I start to transition, so in these autumn, like these months where it's starting to transition into winter, I don't just go straight back into full-blown strength training, 4 or 5 times a week. Sometimes you don't even need to go to that, even if you are in like trying to build muscle. What I do is I slowly transition it. So transition to 3 days of strength, and just throwing in a little bit of conditioning on those off days to maintain. Now, I'll see how my body reacts to this. And right now it's reacting really well. I've put on 2 kilos within 2 weeks. So it's a little bit too quick but I think it's because I've changed my diet a fair bit and just gone back in the gym lifting. So it's sort of spiked up pretty quick. But what I aim for is around about half a kilo a week. That way you're not putting on too much fat. And yeah, you're going to be putting on a lot of muscle, like lean muscle sort of that way, rather than if you put it on too quick, there's a lot of fat that comes along with it. So yeah, those 3 days of my main strength sessions, they are my priority workouts for the week. And then as I transition more into winter, if this sort of starts to, like if I feel like I need to increase the volume a little bit with and you get a good feel with it, like you'll know if you stop growing, you know if you stop adapting to that sort of volume with your training. So if that does happen, because I really like this cycle that I'm on at the moment, just gives me a good, broad brush across everything. But if I do feel like I need to get that volume up a little bit more with my strength training, then I'm going to transition into 4 or a 5 day in peak winter area, 4 or 5 days worth of strength with just a couple of maintaining conditioning sessions in there. And then as we transition out of winter, again, I don't just go straight from 4 or 5 days of strength training straight into 6 days of conditioning. I transition out. So I go back into that 3 days of strength, 3 days of conditioning, and transition out into more full-blown conditioning training throughout summer. Okay, now I'll just share my screen with you so I can show you. What we've got here is just a really simple spreadsheet, and I've just laid out sort of how I'm structuring my week. So this here, you can see Monday through the Sunday, and we've got week 1 and 2. So the way I've structured it is over a 2-week cycling phase. So we're not just working off a single week, we're working off a 2-week cycle. Okay, and these green and red ones, they are my main strength sessions here. So these are my top priorities. So if things pop up through the week, if things happen, these are the ones that I get done over anything else. And it's really good to have that flexibility there and not having 6 days of just full-blown workouts that you have to get done. It's good to just have those priorities in there. So if stuff does pop up through the week, then you can at least just get those main ones done and you have that flexibility there. So as you can see, as I said, these upper lower ones, these are my main strength sessions that I have to get done because this is my top priority for this phase. And what I've done is just selected the color of what sort of impact that's going to have on the body. So with 3 strength sessions through the week, each of those sessions, you are putting in like a lot of effort because you're not hitting a ton of volume across the week. So when you're in there, you are lifting heavy and you are going hard for those sessions. So for the lower body sessions, I've labeled it as a red session. So these will leave you sore, these will leave you exhausted. They're going to need a lot of recovery behind them. The upper sessions, you're still putting in maximum effort and stuff, but they're just not going to have as big of an impact on your body compared to a lower session. So I've just labeled it a green there. So this just gives me the ability of what can I do the next day that's not going to impact not only my next day, but it also allowing me to recover from the day before. So it just gives you an idea of what sort of intensity you're hitting for these sessions. So yeah, you can see on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, they are my main sessions. These are the top priorities that I'm going for, and I get done no matter what every week. Now, the way it's cycled through, and I'm really loving this way. This is the first time I've had it sort of structured this way, and I'm really loving it at the moment. So the way I'm cycling it is going upper, lower, lower, lower. So what this does, it's a 2-week cycle, and the first week you're hitting upper twice, and just the lower once, and then the second week you're hitting lower twice and upper once. But over the 2-week period, you're doing 3 upper and you're doing 3 lower focus sessions. So you across the 2 weeks, you still get a decent amount of volume there. And it's enough, like even right now, I'm putting on weight pretty easily, switching to this sort of cycle. But as I said, like if you're doing this sort of stuff, when you're in the gym, like it's not like when you're doing 4, 5, even 6 day training weeks in the gym, you can sometimes you can go half-ass and still get some growth out of it just because of the volume across the week. But with these ones, when you're in the gym, you're in the gym there. You're in the gym to work. So you're working very, very hard across those 3 sessions. All right, so just sticking on these main workouts here, I'll just explain them as well. So a little bit more detail. So what I do is I create 2 workouts for upper and I create 2 workouts for lower. And I just cycle through those 2 workouts. So this one I'll do upper 1, then I'll do upper 2, then I'll do upper 1, upper 2, and so on and so on. So you're just cycling through those 2 workouts. That way you don't have to create like a shit ton of workouts to follow. You just got the 2 there and you just cycle through them. And I just cycle through this stuff until I stop to seeing results, until I start feeling like I need to switch it up. You need to stick with workouts so that you can progress them. Not too long that you get stagnant with them, but you need to stick with them long enough so that you can get used to the sessions and progress those sessions, because that's where the real improvements come from. So I choose, so I create 2 upper sessions and 2 lower sessions, and then just cycle through them as I do the workouts through the weeks. Now, this is an example of an upper session and an example of a lower session. So as I said, like it doesn't look like much stuff, but when you're in there and you're really, really pushing yourself, it's a big load on the body, especially if you're just coming away from that big conditioning phase. This is still a decent amount of volume when you're really pushing the envelope when you're in the gym. So as an example, for an upper session, we're doing push, pull, and then we'll do a vertical push, making sure we're getting some shoulders in there, and then just some isolation arms. So the exercise is an example for a push. You can do any sort of like bench press that you want to do. A pull, you can do some sort of pull up, chin up, or anything like that. And I'll usually superset these ones. So upper body is really good to superset exercises because they don't impact each other too much, and you get the session done a little bit quicker, and you can even get a little bit more volume in towards the end if you want to. And then, the second push, I've chosen decline deficit push-ups. So I'm just sort of changing the angles. You can see with this initial one, it's like a flat angle, straight, horizontal across from the body. And then with decline, it's more of that incline pressing position when you're in that decline push-up. Then then another pull, and again, did a vertical pull, a horizontal pull, so dumbbell rows. Then I'll make sure I do a vertical press if I haven't done so here. And that's just to make sure we get some shoulders in there as well. So you can even like isolate the shoulders, just making sure you're getting some sort of shoulder work in there. So I've chosen a single arm dumbbell press, but you can do anything like a fly or, lateral flies or frontal raises, anything like that. Just get some shoulder work in there. And then just isolate the arms. You can chuck some triceps on the end there as well. But I like to just do one isolation exercise at the end while I'm initially starting out, getting back into strength. Now, a lower session, sometimes I'll superset stuff, but a lot of the time, like with some big main movements, lower body is just so much stress on the body, and it's hard. Like when you're supersetting, it's exhausting. So I like to just really focus in on set exercise and move through them. So as an example, a lower push is a back squat. Then a lower pull is something like Nordic curls, or you could do, RDLs or anything like that. Another push, reverse lunge. Didn't even spell that right there. Reverse lunge. Another pull is some form like back extension, or you could do good mornings or anything like that. And then throw in some, you can put some isolated hand, like isolation. So you can put an ISO movement in there for hamstrings or quads, like some hamstring curls or leg extensions, something like that, and throw in some calves at the end as well. It can be anything like a standing calf raise or anything. Okay, so that's the main movements. That's my main focus here of what I'm doing with my 2-week cycle. And if anything, they are the 3 sessions that I get done through the week. And then the nice to haves are the maintenance for your conditioning. But what you need to understand with your conditioning training with this is that your conditioning is maintenance. It's not your main session. So it shouldn't be fatiguing you for the main sessions, and it shouldn't be impacting your recovery from those main sessions. So as you can see, that's why I've labeled them in blue here, just to reinforce in my head that, these are easy sessions. So, the colors that I use is blue is easy, that mood, so mellow mood sort of thing is labeled with the blue. Then green, so it's a little bit of energy there. So that's, your moderate impact on the body, even though you're hitting really hard intensity. It's just because it's upper body. It doesn't have as much as an impact as lower. And then the red ones are those, absolute smash sessions that you end up crazy sore and everything from. So yeah, with my conditioning, you can see I just cycle through different things. So MIT is just moderate intensity training. I'll make sure I've got some run in there, and you can see I've cycled run, moderate intensity, high intensity, and low intensity here. You can have just all low intensity, but I like to just mix it in there just to make sure I'm still getting some sort of high intensity stuff. But if I'm doing high intensity, it's going to be very small volume. As I said, it's not a development session. It's there to maintain. So if I'm doing high intensity, and you can see I've put that after just a upper day as well. I haven't put high intensity after like a big lower day. But yeah, if I'm doing high intensity, it's just really short volume just to switch on those fast twitch muscle fibers and not really, stress them a shit ton. And then I've got some swimming in at least once a week. And then that means low impact conditioning. And then Sundays are always off. So these are my main workouts, with the main focus of that Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or switch them on different days if needed, if things pop up through the week. And then my conditioning maintenance is Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. And then if I've got time through the week, usually I'll get up a little bit early or something, and I'll just do a half hour, maybe stretch session, or I'll do a walk, like take my dog for a walk, just keeping the body moving, throughout the rest of the day as well. So some sort of, 20 to 30 minute, activity is good to keep in there as well. So that's it, guys. That's a full run through of what I'm doing at the moment, and the big picture of what I do across an entire year. And I've been doing this sort of thing for a very long time now. And like I said, you need main focus at different times so that you can really build those things up while maintaining. Yes, you're going to drop that little bit on that stuff that you're maintaining, but as the years go through, like, you need to look at this as a progression over years, not just this year I'm going to get to a crazy fitness level. It's over years worth of training, because we'll focus on strength, we'll get it up to a certain level, and then that'll sort of drop off while we maintain. But it's going to be higher than our baseline was last year while we build up the conditioning. That's going to get up to a really high level. Then we're going to drop that down to our maintenance. But again, that maintenance is going to be higher than your baseline from the year before. And as you go through the years, it starts to trend upwards with all of your fitness, even though at certain points, your fitness is going, on those certain elements, is going to drop down lower than what it was at the peak. But that's completely fine, because you're sitting at it as a maintenance rather than development. And then when you get back into it, you're going to be a better position than where you were previous when you got into it. And you're going to be able to spike it up higher than where it was at your peak last time. Okay, that's it. I was hoping to have this a little bit shorter than that, just to keep people a little bit more interested. But hopefully, yeah, it just gives you a bit of an overview of everything that I'm doing, and helps you structure out your own training throughout the year, or what you're doing right now. Maybe you're in the same sort of phase as me right now, trying to transition into some strength. And honestly, if you are trying to put on weight like that, the training that I'm doing right now, like if you're trying to put on muscle and put on size, the training that I'm doing right now will do the job. And it's a good sort of broad brush across all elements, so you can maintain your conditioning really well like this as well, but grow that muscle and strength that you've been trying to grow, just as long as your nutrition is on point. If you're trying to put on muscle, your nutrition is very, very important. You just simply won't put it on if you're not eating enough. And again, I'll go over that in a different behind the scenes video. That's it for today, guys. Drop a comment. Let me know if this has helped you out, or if you've got any questions in regards to anything that I've gone over. All right, guys, catch you all later.